Hi guys, Penna here bringing you another Photoshop tutorial. Now in this tutorial we're going to be focusing on how to make a YouTube thumbnail for your videos. Now this is directed at a lot of people that are involved with obviously the beta hub, as you have to make your own thumbnails, or you could get them done by someone else, but I think it's a lot easier if you do it by yourself because you know what you want best. So hopefully this helps you out. If it doesn't, then I'm sorry, but tried my best. Now obviously you want to start by making a new canvas, and the sizes I usually use are 1280 by 720 pixels, and then change whatever you want the background to be. Usually I like the background to be darker than the text so the text stands out, so I will add a radial going from quite a greyish to blackish, well not blackish, just black. And if you want this to, as you can see in the middle, the circle in the middle is quite small. If you want it to be large, change the degrees to 0 and just make the scale bigger. Just gives it a nice sort of effect. Obviously you don't have to follow this tutorial word for word. If you don't want to, it's up to you. Now just add whatever text you want, but obviously make sure it's big because you want to be able to see it when you're looking at the thumbnail on YouTube. So I'm going to be using the text home block for this one, and may as well just make this thumbnail in advance, so we can call this how to make a, obviously you can't see it at the minute, but I'm going to change the text in a minute. Let's change it to a white for now. How to make a thumbnail. And this is, you could say this is a pretty strange text to use, but it's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter what text you use as long as you can see it in the thumbnail. Oh shit. And just position it anywhere you want. I usually have it in the middle. And to make it stand out more, well, first off I'm just going to rasterize both layers. Rasterize type, and merge the two layers together. Then double click to go on the layer style, and then just gonna add a drop shadow. Make sure the degrees is 90 degrees, and just have whatever you want. Like, just gonna zoom in a little bit, but obviously this is a tutorial, so obviously I'm gonna have to try and teach you something, so by all means copy of what I'm doing, because I'm just gonna make it so the text stands out and out of the background sort of thing. So I've got a distance of 0, a spread of 15, and a size of 9 for this text, and I'm going to add a gradient to it. Don't know what gradient yet, but could just make one up if we really wanted to. I guess we can have a dark red for the gradient to the left, and a light one from the top, but make this one a bit darker, and this one a little bit less bright. I mean, it looks a bit odd now that we've merged the layers together, but if they wasn't merged together, you'd be able to tell that the gradients, well actually, I'll show you now actually. So if you just want to press Ctrl Alt and Z to undo what you've done, and make the gradient again on any layer, it doesn't really matter for the time being, because I'll show you what to do after. Now what I usually have obviously is a darker shade on the left and a lighter shade on the right. Like so. And if you want it to be on the other text as well, you right click on here, press copy layer style, and right click on the other one and press paste, and it'll be exactly the same on the other text. And that works if you put anything on the layer style. Say if you put a drop shadow on here, and I'm just going to copy exactly what I did on the other one, which was 0 distance, 15 spread I think it was, and 9 size. And simply just right click, press copy layer style, right click, press paste. It's exactly the same. It's a very simple thing to do, but if you want to make your thumbnails yourself, then it's also very efficient as well, because you can do it fast, because it's simple like I said, and yeah, it's just simple and it doesn't really take up much time doing this. Whereas if you ask someone else to do it, they could be making you something really complex, and you don't really need that for a thumbnail anyway, because it's just a thumbnail at the end of the day. It don't need to be all fancy, it just needs to have the text on it or a picture on it that you want. And of course I'm going to add a little shadow to it, sort of thing, or reflection you could say, by creating a new layer, holding Alt between the two layers, make sure the layer is above the text layer, press Alt so it basically masks it, press G on your keyboard and make sure that your foreground's white and your background's black, or your foreground's white and your other one, doesn't really matter, and then just click from wherever you want on the canvas and drag it down, and it will make that reflection like that. And it's up to you what you do to the text, but like I said, obviously it's a tutorial and I've got to teach you something, otherwise it wouldn't be a tutorial. So I've done that, and I may as well show you something else whilst I'm here. Alright, so press B to go on your brushes and select quite a hard round brush and make it to whatever size you want. I'm going to say about 50 something, and then click over here where it's, well, if it's highlighted it'll say brush, and it goes to all these brush like tip sort of thing, tip shapes it says there. Oh no, that's this part, but it's just to change your brush about. And as you can see here, if you click on the brush tip size, well, tip shape, sorry, you've got the size, the hardness and the spacing, and I usually make the spacing 1000%. Go on the shape dynamics and just leave it like that. Click on scattering and just leave it like that as well, or you could up the count, just I would tell you what it meant, but if I say it then I might sound stupid because I actually don't know myself. What was the other thing as well? Yeah, it's another thing definitely. Brush tip shape, shape dynamics, size jitter, that might be it. Yeah, just up the size jitter to about 50 something percent, I'd say. Then you get these nice scattered like bubble sort of thing effect, but obviously make sure you've created a new layer when you do this, otherwise it'll just be on the same layer and you won't be able to do anything to it. So add a new layer and just scatter it around where you want, and bring that layer behind the text layer and move it into any position you want, and press onto this drop down menu here and press soft light and change it to about the opacity down to about 30 something percent. Now what I usually do as well is go onto your brush again and just switch the two colours about by clicking that arrow there and just do some more bubbles, because as you can see it's different when you change the colour, and it just, I don't know, it just makes a nice effect to it. And if you want to go a little bit extra, switch them back around, change your foreground to a lightish grey, create a new layer, press filter, render and clouds, and press soft light, and change the opacity down again to about, I don't know, 50, and that just gives a little bit of effect as well. And go on your eraser if you want to take it the extra mile and just make it so it's about that size in the middle, and just erase it like that. It just gives a nice effect, I think. Now I'm gonna have to end it here, guys, because I think I've done enough for one tutorial, and hope you've enjoyed. Hope this helps out a lot. If it has, leave a like. If it hasn't, leave a dislike. Totally up to you. It really doesn't bother me either way. Just obviously I prefer likes, like many people on YouTube. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to the Beta Hub and make sure you subscribe to me, and I hope you've enjoyed. Goodbye.